So your whole thing with your podcast was just that. Sorry, your blog post was that the whole analogy that you built in was you're living with intellectual titans, right? You are having we discussed, we established that we have so much access to do so much more. We have that competent, like the idea that you can learn something and become more knowledgeable to like then have a foot in the door. But I see 80% of the people around here, they just use it to like do their homework or as you worded it, use it as a spell check. Yeah. Or say hi in 5 different languages. Now, we know the capability of models today, right? Claude, OpenAI, all of them have passed the Turing test. They have also solved PhD level complexities. But my main question is that intrigued me about this blog post was that, okay, does this mean that everyone using them for basic tasks like pauses our way of thinking just because of the ease of access that we can do easier tasks? We are doing it only for easier tasks.
Yeah, I don't think there's nothing wrong, actually. There's absolutely nothing wrong with asking it for spell checks. If you look at the history of the internet, you've always had access to information.
Yeah.
And more that access become. MIT has had courses online. Not that anyone, I bet you, if I had to make a poly market bet or something, I would say 90% of people that have watched those MIT videos have subscribed to his course. They did not finish them. 10% did, and out of 10%, probably 5% of those people went on to actually pursue it in a meaningful way, which I think is totally fine. My point is, we could, we're already solving all the low hanging stuff, and that's fine. But we should reflect more and say, now that we have access to such a greater intelligence, quote unquote, intelligence agent, that we don't erode our ability. I wrote a blog post just before about critical thinking. We don't erode our ability to critically think and just have it do all the low hanging fruits and not worry about the complexity, the challenges out there. I think if someone was very motivated, they should be able to use these language models to learn more so they can tackle harder problems. This sort of is tangential to this idea that, great, we have AI in the workforce, we can lay people off. That's kind of stupid to me, to be honest. I think it makes sense from a business point for a publicly traded company to go, yeah, we're going to lay people off, shareholders are going to like it. I think the more smarter thing to do is, I have 10 employees. Let's now do something that would have taken me 100 employees to do. That was much harder because we've augmented 10 people with these levels of intelligence that they can interact with and learn from. Whether it's engineering, whether it's science, whatever, each field has their own strengths and weaknesses with the language models and in AI in general. So how can we tap that potential to do a lot more?
Well, now, so in a context of like, I'm sure that you've heard of the Jones paradox, right? Just like increased usage or increased convenience can lead to more usage so now in the sense of like AI, with everyone just getting more access to it, like the per request prices are dropping. Yeah, API calls prices are dropping. There's so many ads out there now. Perplexity is building some solutions. There's so many solutions out there. With knowing that it's available to do so many things, do you think the audience just using it for a trivial matter, just knowing the accessibility of it, will favor just being more lazier with it? Just being like, okay, I'll just use it for trivial things. And say, I'm a student, right? I rather just be like, oh, you can do all my homework, then why don't you just do it? Yeah, I can. I think
that's what's gonna happen. I think the more agency we have, paradoxically, the less agency we have. And that is a scary thing because you are going to, in the next 6 months, probably get to a point. Let's talk about, I read this example in a podcast recently, lawfare, where I'm walking down the street, some guy, slightly bumps with his car. Yeah. Right now, I can be like, I want to sue you, but I'm not gonna sue. I'm not gonna go learn the law or like go with a lawyer. I don't have money to do that. Blah blah blah. In the podcast, the example is actually now I have an agent where I can tell the agent, write me a lawsuit so I can sue this guy. And so everything is amplified like crazy. And so you start to operate in a world where you become a lot more reliant on something, and a lot of the impulses are driven to the max because now you can just have it do this, right? You can have it go do everything for me, come back, do all the homework. And while that might sound cool, because you might go, wow, it's doing all my homework, the downside of that is you're not going back to creative thinking. You're not creatively thinking anymore. And you're gonna have a bad time eventually when you're assessed on this. And you're gonna have a bad time for homework. But what if you've already graduated? You're in the real world. There is no consequences that may happen to you due to your laziness, or at least directly. Implicitly, you might start seeing consequences where you start becoming more isolated because people think you're just like crazy person, just having me, I do everything. It's really unknown what's going to happen, but you're going to have less agency because you're reliant on this agents to do everything for you, where you're just, chilling in the back. We're slowly deteriorating your critical thinking and just like your free will in some part.